the conclusion that we have here is that there must be a balanced approach when it comes to having these three items to be embedded within the company's DNA, and we call it the triple helix. Helix is that the three items which I mentioned just now, that is corporate governance, CSR, and innovation, be embedded into the DNA of the company. Okay? And having said that, the approach is actually to educate, to make people aware. Okay? And upon having all this, then only it will cause positive change, okay, to the economy.
Dengan izin, saya mendorong dan menggalakkan tata laku yang sepatutnya di kalangan pengarah, setiausaha, pengurus dan pegawai lain sesuatu perbadanan dan pengawal siliaan diri oleh perbadanan, syarikat perniagaan, kumpulan perindustrian dan badan ikhtisas dalam sektor korporat demi untuk memastikan bahawa segala kegiatan korporat dan perniagaan dijalankan mengikut norma-norma yang telah mantap mengenai pentadbiran korporat.
There are thousands of definitions and concept of corporate governance. To move forward, Malaysia needs a common stand as to what corporate governance is. A shared vision is crucial to enable the message to not only be effectively conveyed, but to also enable subsequent action towards improving the national corporate governance framework to be undertaken.
Therefore, govern here implies more than just rules and regulation. It implies the exercise of knowledge. It implies judgment. It implies authority or power. It implies systematic administration. For corporate governance is not about power alone, but about decisions that have to be made effectively. Therefore, what is needed is probably a system in which boards, senior managers, and stakeholders collaborate on decisions and regularly make sure that this works.
Ladies and gentlemen, this story shows that very often we are so focused on complying with processes and abiding by guidelines that we sometimes lose sight of why something needs to be done. As Yang Muhammad DPM said earlier today, the human element or integrity is often missing from this equation. So taking a step back, let's think about why processes and guidelines are implemented in the first place. So I'll give you a simple example. When a parent tells their kid to look both ways before crossing the road, they are setting a simple guideline to ensure the safety of the child.
They all say, and they're right in saying that, innovation will be the only means to transform our economy to a high-income society. Yet, for 20 years, our success has been dismal. Our R&D spending in innovation or in R&D as a proportion of GNP has declined. The performance of our institutions of higher learning in translating the millions, if not billions of dollars.
In the near future, we want that the IP can be used as collateral. When we talk about collateral with the banks, we talk about the physical property, the land, or buildings, or they can be a collateral. But we are now one step further to enable IP owners to value the IP.
We have our own definition of what we think franchise is all about. We believe that franchise is about sharing wealth. Why wealth? Wealth covers everything. It covers everything from knowledge, resources, skill sets, and even sharing income.
Regional agreements, the ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint 2015, it states that all ASEAN economies should have a competition law and policy in place by 2015. So countries which still do not have are Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, okay? So they would have to, and Philippines too, to a certain extent. So they would have to have a competition law and policy in place before 2015, okay? And we have MOUs between with Korea and Australia. They request for this so that it facilitates better trading conditions.
About a year and a half ago, there was two articles on the same page in The Economist talking about why companies had actually failed. One was about Toyota, and it said the problem for Toyota was that actually The board of Toyota was made of men,
Stress
all men.
management is very a high level in terms of those sits on the board. So women has always a very different approach to stress management. Yeah, they would not be afraid to ask for advice.
We have to process the data for the lawful purposes, and it cannot be used for other purposes. And personal data is adequate, not excessive in relation to that purpose. So meaning that we have to make sure we only collect relevant data.
I'm also going to touch a bit on Limited Liability Partnership Act, the implementation aspect of Limited Liability Partnership Act. Then on XBRL format of reporting for financial statements, this is another project that we have undertaken for lodgement or for transmission of financial statements in the form of XBRL format.
Living. You know, the first month they invest, one lot will comprises about 70,000. And then, you invest, you buy 2 cows, 3 cows. They bring you to one place in southern Johor. Then they say, okay, Mr. A, this is your cow. Then another group of people, the same cow being used. Yeah? The same cow being used. If only the cow can talk, then we'll say, actually, I'm being owed by so many people.
We made certain provisions, in particular, Section 132 of the Companies Act, relating to fiduciary duties of company directors. Yes, we have received criticism in the past saying that how come there has been no action taken under the old Section 132. But now, we are proud to say, for example, in 2010, we have taken 11 cases, and last year we have taken 14 cases under Section 132, Subsection 1 only.
As we have heard before, this is one topical area that is fast gaining notorious reputation and prominence. So we will see, that increasingly that interest scheme related complaints is growing in stature and has shoot up to become one of the top 3 of most numerous complaints received in SSM.